thank you for the introduction and for those nice jokes. It's actually a great segue to today's topic, which is positive psychology. Can you hear me all the way in the back? It could be louder. I'm going to project and move the, yeah, that's better. Today's topic is positive psychology, but you do hear a lot of negative news these days between the recession, between the drug wars, robberies, everything. It sometimes can be a little bit overwhelming and lead you to feel bad. So you must do something to combat that. And so we're going to talk about what you can actually do today to keep yourself in a positive frame of mind. I mean, we kind of enjoy living here because it's paradise. We have good weather. We have lots of good friends. In spite of all the negativity, how do you stay focused? How do you stay positive? So let me explain how I got interested in this. Like many of my fellow psychologists, I started studying psychology because I wanted to learn how the mind works and how and why we feel what we feel, and a little bit about what makes us tick. And of course, behind all of that was a driving desire to be happier. And I think most of you can relate to that. The only problem with studying psychology to learn how to be happier is that until 10 years ago, they did not study how to be happy. They studied what makes people miserable. So I was 2 years into a postdoctorate fellowship working in a psychiatric hospital with severely mentally disabled people, schizophrenics and the like, when I realized that my education was missing a huge link. I studied mental illness. I didn't study mental health. So just entering the field into private practice, I thought to myself, how am I going to help people choose, make better choices, and live better lives? How am I going to do that myself? I can diagnose somebody when they're depressed and when they're schizophrenic, but that's a long ways from leading a fulfilling life that is flourishing. And about the mid-90s, there came to be a movement. I wasn't the only person thinking this. There were a lot of psychologists that were thinking there's something wrong with our profession and something wrong with the science of psychology, that we don't study the other half of things. Along came two really important psychologists, Martin Seligman from the University of Pennsylvania, and a guy from the University of Chicago who has a great name which no one can ever pronounce. It's Dr. Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, and that's the best I can do for that. But he's written a book called Flow, and it's quite famous. And those two people, Dr. Seligman and Csikszentmihalyi, it's better to write it than pronounce it, really stepped in to fill that gap, and they started studying what makes people tick and what makes people happy and what makes for a flow experience and gets people so turned on that they don't even know what time of day it is. And I think you can all relate to this. You've all had those experiences where you're reading or studying or on the internet and you're really engaged in learning something or in doing something, and you feel so good. It doesn't matter what time of day it is or time of night it is. You're just self-motivated and the value is there and you know you're on the right track and it feels good. So it's, they founded a movement called the Positive Psychology Movement, and today it's been almost 20 years, so there's quite a bit of research and scientific experiments that have happened since that time, because it's not enough to know that it's something, doing what you love makes you happier. I mean, that's just common sense, but they needed to study it precisely with control groups, randomized subjects who would do things for several weeks, compare them to another group who did not do something for several weeks, and really identify what it is that we can all do that will improve our levels of happiness and well-being. They also needed a definition of well-being, because it's not enough just to pursue happiness and pleasure. There's still something missing. I mean, although that's nice, a good life has to have more than just pleasure to be successful. So I want to share a little bit with you. Positive psychology built on the humanistic psychology movement in the 20th century, but which did also focus on happiness and fulfillment. You've probably heard about Abraham Maslow, Carl Rogers, Erich Fromm. These were all forerunners to this movement. But what is new and significant were the empirical studies that the positive psychology movement did to really study how we could become more satisfied with our lives, and particularly as we age. I want to show you this book, because this is what I studied in graduate school. It's the Diagnostic Manual. Some of you know this already. Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, also known as the DSM-4. This will tell you everything that's wrong with you, everything's wrong with your husband, everything's wrong with your mother. It's amazing. You will find disorders in here that you never knew existed. Fascinating. Well, they've even got a new book now called, like the DSM-4, it's the Character, Strengths, and Virtues. It's a handbook and a classification of all that's right with people. It's amazing. I didn't bring a copy because it wasn't required, and it costs a lot of money. But and that's really something for those people that study it and practice positive psychology. But for you and I, let's talk about some of the things you can do to make your life happier and to practice more positive psychology in your lives. I didn't want to do an information dump on you because it's Sunday morning, you're just having your coffee. Some of you didn't even bring note paper for recording. Thank goodness Roy Nolan is here to record this. But I don't want this to be like school. So I'm going to give you a few facts and figures. And then I want you to experience a simple psychological experiment that we're going to try out on you, if you can follow instructions. We'll see. But it will show you, through experiencing this, an important key to becoming happier. In brief, there are two ways to become happier. One, focus on having more positive feelings, more positive thoughts, say more positive things. That's one way. The second way is to have fewer negative thoughts, say fewer negative things, do less negative things, be nicer, in other words. But that's easier said than done because of the way the brain is built, and this has always fascinated me. You know those recession jokes, which we all find funny. It's really funny because it's very sad, it's very negative. The brain has a propensity to pay attention to negative news. We're built that way. It's a survival mechanism. When we were on the savannas of East Africa and we were hunting animals, negativity was more important for us to pay attention to than positivity, because otherwise we'd be somebody's lunch and we wouldn't have a chance to say nice things to anybody, right? And that same brain is at work in our lives today. Our brains really haven't changed that much. We've evolved in many ways, and certainly our lives are a lot different. But we still have the same brain, and we still react to negative news in the same way. We pay attention to it because, uh-oh, this might be something I need to know in order to survive. So we have this negativity bias, and unless we pay attention to it, we can become victim to it and live our lives based on fear and negative emotions. Gossip, who here doesn't like gossip? But it's all about bad news, right? And it's dangerous because you can't expect to be a happier person if you put yourself in that negative spot. So, I went to a movie this weekend. Wasn't very good, but it had some good points. It was called All Good Things. And in it, the dishy hero was Ryan Gosling. There was something wrong with him. And you actually, don't ever find out what is wrong with him, but he's kind of spooky. But at one point, and this was in the 70s, he has what's called scream therapy. He had lost his mother by suicide, and he had been there to witness it. So the therapist had him remember that and then scream and get all of that anger and emotion out. And I can remember participating in workshops like this when I was in graduate school because they asked us to go out and experience different kinds of therapy. And I don't know what the research results are to say if scream therapy works. I kind of doubt it, and I'll tell you why, but this is a personal opinion and not scientifically based, because anytime you spend time feeling negative and being negative and screaming, it's a downer. It's gotta be a downer, you know. I mean, you might feel a little better afterwards, you know, but I don't know. It's just my personal opinion, but instead of scream therapy, I think it's more worthwhile to spend your time looking for what's right in people and looking for what's good in people. This requires a couple of things. Developing an optimistic attitude, a real belief that whatever the case is, things are going to work out all right. That certainly helps. And then just developing the habit of saying positive things to people. Becoming more mindful of the small little things that happen during the day that are positive. This morning when I got up, it was very overcast, and I thought, oh, we're going to be in that room again. But it didn't rain, and the skies are clearing up, and you better stay that way. So. Here's some of what the research does show us. There are 5 key strengths that lead to experiencing more happiness. According to the scientists, if you engage in these 5 practices, you will experience more happiness in your life. And they are, yes, take your pen out and write these down. Gratitude, the practice of feeling grateful and finding something to be grateful for. That's a key to becoming happier. Optimism, looking at the bright side and believing that there is going to be a happy ending. That is a key. Zest. Now, some of you might say, I use that in the shower every morning. It's a soap. But I think they're actually talking about engagement and enthusiasm, zest for life. The 4th thing would be curiosity. Are you curious about things, about people? Are you asking questions? Are you curious? And the last thing is interesting. It's the ability to love and to be loved. And that comes in many different varieties and many different ways of expressing it, but it really is very important. If any of you were to go online and do research on positive psychology, you'll find a tremendous amount of material. And I encourage you to do that because there is so much. I can't give it to you all today. But there are also positive psychology coaches where you can hire somebody to work with you on becoming more positive. And they work with you over the phone or on the internet, or if they are here locally, it doesn't really matter. But one of the exercises that positive psychologists ask people to engage in is to count your blessings. To every day before you go to bed or as you get up, think of the things that you really are grateful for and that contribute to your life. Second thing is the ability to use your strengths. And this requires that you know what your strengths are, and we all have them, even you. And and there are assessments you can take online for free. If you do have a pen, try visiting this site. It's called viastrengths.org, VIA Strengths .org. And you can take this little assessment and it'll get out of so many strengths and qualities and virtues. It'll give you 5, your top 5 strengths. I took it and it was really interesting. And if you look back over your life, you'll find that you've always done things in those areas in one way or another. It doesn't matter what your profession was or what your occupation was. You always gravitate to those things. I think it was Aristotle that asked, what is the good life? And the answer is really tied up to you identifying and using your strengths and talents. We experience a great sense of satisfaction when we're using our strengths because we're good at something, and it gives us feedback that that's a good thing we've just done. So getting more gratification into your life is a little bit more difficult than getting more pleasure into your life. And that sort of really is the difference between just having a fun life and having a fulfilling, worthwhile life. Now I want to do this experiment with you. And I think we have time to do it. We're a large crowd, and it will take a little bit of time to set it up because I'm going to ask you to work in pairs, so you have to have a partner, and that usually takes the longest. I'm just going to ask you to take the person next to you, but some people might say, oh, I'm not that person. But here's the instructions. I'm going to ask you to listen and follow these carefully. And you don't have to do this. This is purely a fun experiment. But it's an important one because I think it'll mean something to you when I'm finished. It's from a class given at Harvard University on happiness. This class was so popular that 3/4 of the student population at Harvard signed up to take this class. They paid $200,000 to go to Harvard to take this class on how to learn how to be happy. And I'm going to give it to you for free. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to pair up with somebody next to you. And one person is going to be person number 1, and the other person is going to be person number 2. Yeah. So just pick your partner and decide who's 1 and 2, and I'll give you a couple of seconds. And if you need to change seats to get next to somebody, that's fine. Oh, you're holding hands with my husband. You can come home if you know how to do dishes. And cook. Yes. All right. Well, you guys are quick and you're pretty smooth because they did this experiment with a group of people on Wall Street, and it took them 15 minutes to decide who would be number 1 and 2 because nobody wanted to be number 2. Yeah, number 2 guys are. Okay, so here are the instructions. You're still deciding who's 1 and 2. A simple way is people closest to there are number 1, people number 2. Yeah, you have to decide. Okay. Now, I need you to listen to the instructions because if you don't do it right, then you don't get it right, and the rest of my talk won't make any sense. Okay?
We'll be unhappy.
Yeah, it'll be very unhappy and it'll spoil my talk. I mean, gosh. Okay. And you might have to get a psychiatrist. Okay. You're sitting here today because you care. You care about a number of things. You care about learning. You care about your own self-development. And you care about being the best person you can be. And at your ages, most of you, you already know quite a bit. You know a lot. You've worked in your lives. You've been to school. You're probably experts at a lot of things. And many of you have raised families and taught your children how to behave. You've modeled good citizenship behaviors, and you've carried on throughout your lives in respectable ways, following the rules and being attentive to morals, which is what I want you to do right now. So I want you to take all your self-discipline and control that you've developed and cultivated over the years, And I want you to use that self-control for this experiment, which is only 7 seconds long. It's not long. I've got my stopwatch. Person 1, listen carefully. I'd like you not to get angry with person number 2 when they do what I'm going to tell them to do. Don't get angry. Don't get sad. And please don't cry. But also, I don't want you to laugh. I don't want you to smile. I want you to be completely neutral during this experiment for 7 seconds. I want you to be neutral on the inside, but also on the outside, on your face. No emotions, no frustration, anger, sadness, smiling, for the next 7 seconds. Person 1, have you understood? Think you can do this? Okay, good. Person 2, look at person 1 in the eyes. Go ahead and do that. Now, make sure you're looking at them in the eyes, and for 7 seconds, I want you to smile at them genuinely for the next 7 seconds.
And you're supposed to be straight.
Stop. You know, I think I made a mistake. I never dreamed that person number 1 was going to be so inept at this. Who knew? So I think we're going to have to try this different now. We're going to switch it, and I'm going to ask person number 2 to do this. Okay, we're going to switch it around. Person number 2, I'm sorry, just didn't realize person number 1 was going to mess it up so much. So, person number 2, go neutral on your face, neutral inside, no emotions, and do not smile. Okay? And person number 1, I want you to look them in the eyes and smile genuinely at them. Give them the biggest grin you can give them. For 7 seconds. Go. Stop. Oh my God.
Well, could you see her?
Maybe I messed up the instructions. I don't know. Huh? Let me ask you, a show of hands, how many were successful at this? Good. Yeah. Okay, hands down. Show of hands, how many failed miserably at this? Okay. Show of hands, how many didn't understand the question? Okay, here's a question that I'm going to ask you. Why do you think this was hard to do? Rosemary?
I think the people who knew each other, wait for the microphone.
Michael.
I think the people who knew each
That part of the body. For example, when you were doing the smile, you saw the smile and you saw the face, and you all know that we're very sensitive to faces. We can't help ourselves. That's also a survival mechanism when we're on the plains. You know, is this a friend or a foe? So your sensors are picking up that face and the smile and feeding that information. You are unaware of this happening, by the way. This all happens in the subconscious parts of the brain. You may be aware of some of it, but so you get a reaction, and that reaction shows up because it's very close to your motor cortex, and before you have a chance to tell yourself, go neutral, don't smile, you start smiling. And in some cases you are successful, you can control your reaction and not smile, but your mirror neurons are being stimulated.
Yes, I've been listening to your speech with great interest, but I never heard one word the word to be need, the need to be needed, does that not figure into the happiness quotient, or?
The need to be needed.
That's right.
I mentioned the ability to love and to be loved. Need is, that's an interesting discussion. I don't have an answer for it. What are your thoughts on that?
The reason I bring it up is that there's a village in northern Russia that has more 100-year-old people than any other place in the world. And the anthropologists went in and checked everything out, the water, the cigarette smoking, the drinking, etc., all their lifestyle. And when they came away with only one conclusion, was that the elderly people were needed.
Ah, interesting. That explains it. Yeah, very good. Very good. Yeah, the importance of being needed by others. Yeah, yeah.
We have a question here.
Hi, Patsy. I love your column in the Lake Chapala Review, and I have a neuron problem. Okay, I went to Oktoberfest party here yesterday, and I met so many old friends. I couldn't remember the names. One couple, I remember the names at 4:30 this morning. I have a lot of friends who share the same problem. What can we do?
Was there any beer involved? Drink less and write people's names down? I don't know. You know, it's a problem for all of us.
Oh, I would like to tag on to what this gentleman said. I think I was only here about 2 weeks when I fully became aware of how much the younger people, the Mexicans, respect, adore, the list goes on, the grandparents. And that is definitely not true in America.
Really?
Definitely. We can tell you. I mean, it's very wonderful to hear how many grandparents now say, oh, my granddaughter's a bitch. Okay, not too many people are open with that, but I would like to just tag on and say that I think being needed and not being cast aside as being an older person is hugely important.
Okay, thanks. Yeah.
Hi. I'm involved in the field of nutrition, and you mentioned that you cannot buy a dopamine pill. And that is true. However, we get tests to see if your body can make it. You can find out what you need to make it. So that is in nutrition. And about the kids that come back from the war, the kids that are best nourished have the least chance of PTSD. And we're going to have to fix that with nutrition. Kids, you know somebody.
Thank you for those inputs. Interesting.
First, we have this one back here and then up front. Thank you. You're talking about being needed. Jampolsky in one of his books says, I need you because I love you, not I love you because I need you.
Thank you for contributing that. There was something in the back of my mind that could have grown. Thank you.
Yeah, I had here, you talked about those 6 cultural universals. And there's no question that people like Hitler, for example, succeeded, lived the life dream, did all kinds of things, but yet I don't think we quite admire much what he did. So, based on your reading of the literature, can you speculate about how that gap sort of?
Well, I'm no expert in that field, but I do know that, you know, what people say and what people do are 2 different things. And you can believe that you're a really positive person and be a son of a bitch in reality. You really can. I've seen this happen. So Hitler did mean things, but he believed and he talked a good talk and he sold people on ideas that were very valuable. There's a disconnect, and that happens, and it's unfortunate.
Hi. Hello. So I'm originally from the UK, and I now live in New York. And it's interesting what you were saying about the British people testing ourselves, because we perceive Americans and Canadians to be far more positive, happier people than we are. We have a very negative view of ourselves and what around us, and actually a difficult time expressing what we're good at, how we contribute. It's interesting. And the perception of New York is a very negative place. Everyone's mean and everyone, is out for themselves. Yeah, and aggressive, exactly. But as a British person, seems very positive and very friendly compared to the UK. we're very, don't like to speak in public right now. This is the New York influence on me here. So, my question, sorry to start rambling, is how that level of positivity, how we judge ourselves against our cultures and what's around us, depending on more of a global or human level.
That is very interesting, and I don't know that I have any answers for that. But you stimulate a conversation that I would like for you all to have at lunch afterwards. Is that how cultures encourage or discourage negativity and positivity, and the reactions of a foreigner in a foreign environment, of us all, because we are foreigners in another culture, and I don't know, it's up to us. I do know that if you are positive and you project that, people are going to respond positively because of the smile experience. Emotions are contagious, but so are negative emotions.
And one here.
Thank you so much. I enjoyed your speech. And I think we're very, very lucky to be living here in Mexico, because I think the people that we're around here in our culture model all these things that you're talking about here. And we pick up on it. Everyone here says buenos dias. And if you don't say it, you're missing out. You're missing out on that smile and that friendship with someone brand new for you. And people here are very loving, and it makes you happy to be in Mexico. I think we're very lucky.
Yeah. Well, we've had 100 years of psychotherapy, and it all boils down to smiling and saying hi.
I have another here.
I'm a very unlikely looking Mexican. So when I walk down the street in Jocotepec to do my shopping, people are sort of looking at me as a stranger. But the moment I open my mouth and I said, buenos dias, or buenas tardes, the whole picture changes. People just suddenly come alive. And they, buenas tardes, buenos dias. It makes a difference how you project. Not just by your looks, but how you speak and how you address other people.
Thank you